are quite a few enemy concepts that didn't make it into the final version of Sonic 2. Thanks to the Video Game History Foundation efforts, we now have high-quality scans from folders of concept art provided by Tom Payne. These sketches from Yasuhara and Tom Payne show an amphibious badnik, known only as Frog. You can see Yasuhara intended for this badnik to look more natural, while Payne went for a more robotic-looking version, before they settled on what looks like a more final-looking character here. From Yasuhara's concept, you can see that this frog would have done 2 short hops before doing a much larger third hop, and then turned around to continue the pattern. A similar enemy named Ribot does appear in Sonic 3's launch base zone. Ball is another scrapped enemy that appears to be a little simple. Seriously, it's just a ball. This badnik would have bounced up and down in an attempt to hurt Sonic, and early graphics for the enemy have been found in the Nick Arcade prototype, along with object code in the later August 21st build. The version of Ball in those builds is very simple, but there are pieces of concept art that have a couple of interesting things going on. Here, you can see a version of Ball with spikes, along with some other early enemy designs that featured bumpers. These other concepts show the bounce pattern, coloration, and versions with springs and drills. No badnik with spring features made it into the final game, probably because they could be abused to reach difficult platforms, and maybe even bounce outside of the bounds of the zone. This scrapped badnik went through several revisions, but the core idea remained the same: Big Snail. One version of Snail actually made it into the testing phase, having appeared in Emerald Hill Zone in both the Nick Arcade and Simon Y prototypes. That version had a metal shell with spikes, a single wheel, and rockets that it used to simply charge toward the player when they came in range. Other concepts for Snail can be seen here, which shows Snail in its near-completed horizontal mode, as well as a second vertical mode, in which it would cling to walls before rushing in to bomb Sonic. From this sketch by Yasuhara, we can see that the vertical version was being planned for Hilltop Zone. This badnik dynamic duo was planned to appear in Chemical Plant Zone. The primary badnik, Bubbler's mother, would attack by passing Sonic and dropping secondary Bubbler badniks all around. The Bubblers would then, appropriately, bubble before exploding and doing damage. Given their 3-eyed fish-like design, it's clear that Bubbler's mother would swim by Sonic in the underwater portions of Chemical Plant Zone Act 2. Notes made on these pieces of concept art let us know that Bubbler and Bubbler's mother were meant to be purplish, but the more finished concept shows a traditional orangey-red metal badnik. Like Ball, Bubbler and Bubbler's mother were almost implemented. Graphics for the badniks exist in the Nick Arcade prototype, and object code has been found in the August 21st build. You might have also noticed that the sketches of these badniks feature early versions of a couple of zone titles, Chemical Factory Zone and Secret Palace. While a dinosaur-based badnik did make it to the finished version of Sonic 2, Hilltop Zone's lava-swelling Rexon badniks, there were more dinosaur badniks that were left on the cutting room floor. First was the Stegway. Also known as the Stego, you might think that this badnik was based on a Stegosaurus. However, it is clearly supposed to be a wheeled Triceratops, and the name might be a holdover from a Stegosaurus version of the badnik that was being considered shown here. In these pieces of concept art, you can see the badnik's very distinctive shape. Segways would have appeared in Hidden Palace Zone if that zone had been included in Sonic 2's initial release, and can actually be interacted with in some early prototypes. If you use debug mode in the Nick Arcade or Simon Y prototypes version of Hidden Palace Zone, you can glitch a Stegway sprite into the game, which will then act as a normal enemy. It seems to share an attack pattern with Snail, as it would charge at the player when they're within range. Segway might have been scrapped, but it lived on in IDW's Sonic the Hedgehog comic, as seen here. In those sketches, you can also see a T-Rex badnik. This one was known as Reds, and would have also appeared alongside Stegway in Hidden Palace Zone. It can be found in the Nick Arcade and Simon Y prototypes using the same method as Stegway. It is one of the only badniks in those prototypes that will reappear if you return to their spawn point after they're destroyed. This robot bat badnik features a pair of metal wings set on either side of a central rocket-like body that has jet flames where its legs should be. It actually exists in the Nick Arcade and Simon Y prototypes of Sonic 2, where it will swoop down to attack the player. It was removed for the Beta 5 build, along with Red's and Stegway, though a similar badnik did make an appearance in Sonic 3. Bee-Fish is a gray and green badnik that is reminiscent of the Masher badnik from Emerald Hill Zone. However, instead of attacking straight up, it attacks in an arc. Bee-Fish can be found in the Nick Arcade prototype as a debug item, or accessed in the Simon Y prototype by hacking. It seems like it was probably meant to appear in Hidden Palace Zone alongside Bee-Bat. Bee-Fish has not been featured anywhere else outside of these instances. There are pages and pages full of badnik concepts that are nothing more than sketches. This page shows early concepts for a variety of badniks, including squids, lobsters, a pterodactyl or vulture, a dragonfly, and a mole. The flying badniks look like they were being designed to carpet bomb Sonic, while the mole did make it into the final game with a revised design and a new name, Grounder. The attack illustrated shows the mole using its drill to attack through dirt walls, just as Grounder does in the final game. Presumably, the squid and lobster would have been featured in underwater levels. Here, we can see a penguin badnik with a spring for a beak, and the beginnings of a porcupine badnik. A whole page of Tom's files were dedicated to this pig badnik. Here's a page with the pig looking a bit like a cannon. No doubt ready to shoot some kind of projectile in Sonic's direction. Tom even did concepts based on ants and scorpions. This page shows work on snakes, frogs, scorpions, and chameleons. Here are some potential whales, sharks, and manta ray badniks. Please like the video and subscribe! Join GameFAQs Special to access our exclusive library of member-only episodes, including one on every Sonic voice actor. Our first member will get to choose a game for us to cover, and we'll use ideas from other members too. Thanks for watching. This has been a GameFAQs Special.